Good morning, friends. Yesterday, I read the poem "Love" by St. Coleridge. Today, I'm going to interpret line by line and stanza by stanza. As far as the structure of the poem is concerned, it's a long poem in 24 stanzas, and all the stanzas are quartets or quatrains, that is a stanza of 4 lines. Okay, let us talk about the speaker in the poem, who he is. The speaker is a lover who is trying to express his love for his beloved, for the woman whom he loves. But he, so far, he has not expressed his love in a direct manner. So here he, in an indirect way, he is proposing her. He is trying to express his love for her. And as far as the structure of the poem is concerned, here is something very interesting. There is a theme within a theme. There is a poem within a poem. There is a story within a story. On the surface level, we have a speaker who is trying to express his love for the beloved. And what is his method? He is singing a song in which there is a knight, K-N-I-G-H-T. This knight, this brave man, in the speaker's song, and how this knight wins the heart of his lady love, heart of his beloved, that is the knight's beloved. So our speaker is not so there is this poem, and in that poem there is a story of a knight and how he had won the heart of his beloved, that is the knight's beloved. And what happens by the end of this poem is that when the knight's story in the song of this speaker reaches the climax, before the climax, the speaker's beloved accepts his love. She comes, she is moved by the song, and she comes to him, she embraces him, and that is how she accepts the speaker's love. Okay. So in that way, it's an interesting poem. So let us read the poem line by line and try to understand. All thoughts, all passions, all delights. Passion is the strong emotion. Delights, happiness, joys. So the speaker says all thoughts, all passions, all delights, whatever stirs, whatever disturbs, whatever moves this mortal frame. This mortal frame is his own body. He's trying to talk about his own individual self. So he says, whatever happens to me, what thoughts come come to my mind all the passions, all my passions, all my joys, delights, happiness in my life. So whatever comes to my mind, whatever comes, whatever disturbs me, whatever moves me, this mortal frame, all are but ministers of love. So all these are the assistants of love. All my passions, all my thoughts, all my joys, they are all the expressions of love. They are about love and feed his sacred flame. His sacred flame, sacred, holy. Flame, the fire. So here his this pronoun is used for love. Means in the first stanza, the important figure of speech used by Coleridge is personification. So love is given, love is attributed the human qualities. So he says whatever thoughts and passions and delights are there in my mind, these are all devoted to. These are all expressions of that sacred flame, his sacred flame. That is, love is burning in him. The flame of love, the fire of love is burning in him, his sacred flame. So here love is personified as a human being. Okay. So this is the first stanza. Oft in my waking dreams do I, waking dreams, to wake up from the dreams that you wake up from the sleep. Oft in my waking dreams, or maybe the poet is trying to say that it's not necessary for me to dream while I was sleeping, while I am sleeping only. He is dreaming while he is not sleeping. Okay, he is awake. Oft in my waking dreams do I leave over again that happy hour, when midway on the mount I lay beside the ruined tower. So he says, very often I remember this thing, and how I remember this happy hour in my life, an incident in my life, when midway on the mount, when I was going, I was climbing a mountain, and I lay beside the ruined tower. So while going to the mount, I was lying beside a ruined tower. So there is a structure, there is a building, towered building is there, and that is in ruins. Okay. And he says, I was lying beside that ruined tower. So very often I remember this was my happy hour. So this is in the second stanza. So the first stanza introduces us to the immense love in him. So whatever is happening to him is love, is because of love, is the expression of love. And in the second stanza, he remembers something. He remembers a happy incident in his life when he was going somewhere, and he remembers how he was lying beside a ruined structure, a towered building that was in ruins. The third stanza. The moonshine stealing over the scene. Moonshine means now we get the time. What is it? Is the night time. Moonshine, so the moon is shining. Now look at the image. So whenever there is a poem about love, this moon is compulsory. Okay. So here also moon's entry is there. Moonshine means there is moonlight is there. Night time is there. The moonshine stealing over the scene. Stealing over the scene means the beauty of the moonlight defeats everything else. Every other thing is nothing in front of the beauty compared to the beauty of the moon, that is the moonlight. The moonshine stealing over the scene had blended with the lights of eve. Here eve is evening. So the moonlight is blended, is combined, is mixed with other lights of the evening. And she was there. Now the beloved's entry. She was there, my hope, my joy. So he says, she's everything for me. She's my hope, she's my joy. My own dear Genevieve. Now here is the name of the speaker's beloved, that is Genevieve. My own dear Genevieve. So now we have the setting. And what is the setting? The setting or the place where this happens, where the poet is taking us and he is painting a picture, portraying a scene in front of us, is that there is a ruined tower, there is a building in ruins, and there is moonlight is there, the period is evening, and everything is beautiful, and there she is, Genevieve, who is his love, who is his hope in life. So in the third stanza we have the entry of the beloved in the atmosphere, in an atmosphere that is very beautiful with moonshine and the lights of the evening. She leaned against the armed man, the statue of the armed knight. Now where is she? She is leaning. Leaning, टेकून उभं असणे, झुकलेलं असणे. She leaned against the armed man. Armed man, a man with arms, a man with weapons, armor. The statue of the armed knight. There is a statue. There is a statue of a knight with weapons. Okay. In English poetry, there is this is the stock figure of a brave knight, Knight. So they are always very handsome. These people, that is the knights, they are very brave and they are great friends, they are great lovers. So here is a statue of a knight carrying arms, and his beloved, that is speaker's beloved, is standing beside the, leaning over that statue. She stood and listened to my lay. L-A-Y. Lay is here song. Okay. Lay means song. So she is standing there and listening to my song amid the lingering light. Now look at the alliteration. Amid the lingering light. Lingering light. Lo. Okay, so when the same consonant is repeated in case of this stanza, it is la, lingering light. So this gives a rhythm. Okay, this gives musical quality to the stanza, to the line, to the poem. So this is known as an example of alliteration. So amid cha madhe, surrounded by, amid the lingering light. Now why the light is lingering? Because it's evening time, the sun is about to set. So there is sunset and the light is lingering. Still linger rengalne. Okay, still there is somewhat light is there, because the evening time there is beautiful twilight is there spread all over the surrounding. So that is described as the amid the lingering light. Now we have a lover, we have a beloved, we have a setting, we have a time. Setting is the towered structure is there, and there is a statue and a woman called Genevieve, a young lady called Genevieve is leaning on, she is standing near that statue, and there is the speaker who is her lover, he is singing a song. So this happens in the first 4 stanzas. We'll continue in another video. Thank you.